you're seeing this video, I've got an inspired message specifically for you, my friend. Hope you're okay with me just chilling in this hot tub as we have a conversation, and I'm going to talk to you as if you were here right in front of me. I know it's easy sometimes to lose faith and to feel like God or the universe doesn't have your back. You've been facing trials, you've been facing challenges, your back has been against the wall. It feels like you're just putting out and putting out and putting out, and nothing is quite working out how you need it to or how you want it to. And so now you're left feeling a little stuck, maybe a little victimized by life, by the universe, by God. And you're wondering, like, where do I go from here? Nothing is working how I need it to. I'm not getting a return on my effort and my investment of blood, sweat, and tears. I just want you to know I understand. Been there many, many times. In fact, I was just talking to a gentleman about this a minute ago. And I think it's really important, and what I shared with him, to remember that ultimately we are our only bottleneck. Let me explain what I mean by that. There's a teacher named Neville Goddard. He was around and very popular back in the early 1900s, and you can still find his work today. If you know what I'm talking about, Neville is an OG. And if you don't, I highly recommend you look into his stuff. But Neville Goddard has a quote, and he says, "Man's chief delusion is thinking that there are any other causes other than his own state of consciousness." I'm going to let that sink in. So what he's saying is he's saying that our biggest mistake, essentially, is thinking that in our life there are any other causes than our own consciousness, which is your thoughts and feelings, essentially. How you think and how you feel, that is your consciousness. And that's what you're putting out into the world. And so he's saying that everything you're experiencing right now, the trials, the tribulations, the setbacks, the false starts, the frustration, it's ultimately a reflection of your own consciousness. And that may not feel fair. In fact, that might piss you off to hear that. And I'm not trying to call you out and tell you that you're the problem, because that's not what this message is. In fact, it's the opposite. That's a message of empowerment. This realization that if everything in my life is truly a cause of my own consciousness, then I control the cause, and therefore I control my reality. And when we realize that all the experiences we're currently having are just a reflection of us, the way that we've been thinking and been feeling, then we simply need to change how we think and how we feel moment by moment to begin to create an entirely different life experience for ourselves. So example, let's say you've been having money problems or relationship problems, or you've just been feeling down. That's okay. Feel your feelings, soak up those experiences because they're all purposeful. But recognize that the way that you are experiencing them right now is simply, again, a reflection of the way that you've been thinking and feeling in the past. So what are you to do? Well, Einstein has a quote, and he says, "You can't solve problems at the same level of consciousness that created them." Meaning, that way you've been thinking and feeling is not going to be conducive of you solving or strategizing around the current problems you're experiencing in your reality. You have to raise yourself to a new level of consciousness in order to get the wisdom, the solutions, the insights, the strategies, the breakthroughs, the opportunities, the circumstances that are going to lead you to a new way of living, being, and doing, and really a new reality, a new circumstance. So rather than staying stuck where you're at, feeling like God is against you, like you just keep having bad luck and false starts or frustrations, you simply need to tap into a new way of feeling and a new way of thinking. And I'm going to explain how. So our level of consciousness is directly tied to the emotional state that we're in at the moment. And I'd also add it's tied to the mental state that we're in at the moment. But those two things are like brother and sister. They're married to each other. Not some Alabama shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they are synergistic. One needs the other. Your mental state and your emotional state are very, very synergistic and connected. And so what we need to do is essentially change our state. And this isn't even some woo-woo shit. This is physiology and psychology as well, that if we can raise ourselves to a new emotional state through something like gratitude or movement, expression, music, dance, like whatever stimulus you need to create internally or externally to basically upgrade your vibe, right? Your emotional state. You'll then also raise your level of thinking with that. So I think emotion is like the switch on the wall that quickly takes you to a new level of consciousness, which allows you to then change the cause to all the effects you're experiencing in your life. And so again, it's very simple. You want to change the way you think and the way you feel, and you can do that instantly using gratitude, or even something like a grounding practice. Go stick your feet in the grass, take some deep breaths, have a fucking chill for just a sec, like I'm doing in this hot tub. And then you start to kind of detach from those circumstances and you start to see them through a different set of eyes. You change the way you feel about things, so the things that you were actually experiencing begin to change. And it's like that saying, that's what I meant to say just a second ago, change the way you see things and the things you see will begin to change. And it starts by changing the way we feel and the way we think. And then in terms of thoughts, it's like first we got to change that emotional state, our physiology, and then we change our story, which is the thoughts. Like, what story are we telling about this current situation right now? Are we telling ourselves that, man, this is like a shitty, I'm having bad luck, or nothing's working out, or whatever? What's the story that you're kind of adding to this situation with? Now change it. Like, maybe this was here to teach you how to grab a hold of your balls and fucking get in that warrior energy and say, you know what, no matter the circumstances, no matter the challenges or trials, I'm going to do it. And that gave you a level of conviction that was necessary for you to realize this vision that we talked about. Or I guess not in this video I talked about, but everybody has a vision deep down. So when you have these challenges and circumstances in your life, they're setting you up with the right character traits, the right level of conviction and commitment necessary to bring those to fruition. So that's a simple story change. Maybe instead of, oh man, everything's out to get me, it's like, man, what is God doing right now? Because he's testing my ass hard. That means right around the corner, dude, shit's about to work. I'm about to level up. I'm about to hit that next level in my life. And, you can have faith in that. And then you change the state, right? The emotions, you change the story, you change the thoughts. And now it's time to change the strategy. Now you can begin thinking, like Einstein said, from that new level of consciousness and actually solving your problems, versus being stuck in the low level of consciousness that created them in the first place. As I mentioned, that Neville Goddard talked about a second ago, that, everything is just a reflection or a reflection, a cause of your consciousness. So now that you have changed the state, you've upgraded your emotions through gratitude, through getting grounded, through shaking your body, dancing, good music, whatever you need to do. You've changed the story around the circumstance. Now it's time to strategize. Now logical brain can come in and you can start to think, okay, if I couldn't lose and I wasn't afraid, what would I do next? What kind of actions would I take? What kind of opportunities would I say yes to? And you start to get that inspired, in spirit is what inspired means. You get that spiritual side of you to come online and start to dictate, okay, this is the next step. And you can make a logical plan with that. So maybe your next step is you need to, call a certain person, even though you don't know why. You need to go to a certain place. Like I'm here at this retreat center here today. For whatever reason, you just have those little intuitive pings that give you the clues for what you should do next, and you make a plan, you take action on that plan, and before long, you'll completely change your reality. Again, your chief delusion, your biggest mistake is thinking that anything in your life is caused by anything other than your own consciousness, your own thoughts and feelings. So when you change your thoughts and feelings, and you choose them, it's not only about changing them, but you choose them. You think, how would the best version of myself, the version of me that has hit this goal, reached my dreams, kicked ass and take names, how does that person think and feel? And how can I step into that today? And then everything else in your life will begin to align because you are aligned on an energetic level, on a level of consciousness first. The plan, everything else will start coming into place. The circumstances, the opportunities will start coming into place, and you'll find your way out of the current predicament you're in. So, my friend, I know I ranted and raved, just some deep thoughts. I love you. You fucking got this. Don't give up on yourself. Say a prayer for me. Thank God for the opportunity to be alive. And I thank you for being here, letting me ramble, give you my thoughts, and I hope something I shared today helps. Much love, my friend. I'm going to enjoy my spa day. Go kick ass and take names. Report back. Would love to hear how it's going.